Hi, I just want to take a few minutes. Someone asked a question a few weeks ago about why are my traps sore? Well, first of all, that's kind of a really broad subject. The traps are comprised of three different parts. We have the upper traps, the middle traps, and the lower traps. And they all work on essentially, they hug towards the midline of the body and the spine in flexion. And the upper traps are also work to elevate the clavicle and to maintain alignment of the spine over the shoulders of the cervical spine. And so I would like to talk about upper cross syndrome, which is something that we see quite a bit with people, especially those who have a job where they're seated a lot, or maybe, if you're studying a lot, hunched over a computer, a phone, pretty much every time you go out, you see people glued to their phones. And so you might feel like really sore up in your neck and the upper traps area, maybe really tight in your chest. And typically, and this is kind of freaky, the head weighs about 10 to 12 pounds. All right. If you have a 15-degree forward head, so if the head's 15 degrees forward, your head is now about 27 pounds. And a 30-degree becomes about 40 pounds. And then even more, 50, 60 pounds, depending on how far the head is slunched forward. So if you think about if you're putting that much weight on those muscles for an extended period of time, they're in that state of flexion of having to try to support the head and do the work that other muscles are supposed to be doing. So the body's going to take the path of least resistance to support itself, and that's not always good. So, and what that does is takes the weight out of the muscles and puts it on the joints and the connective tissue in the body. So, okay, Jeff, what do we do about this? All right, well, first of all, it's a matter of posture, and sometimes you might catch yourself feeling slumped forward, and you open up and kind of straighten up. And that's really it's not that simple, but it kind of is, working on your posture. So in yoga, there's many things that we can do, because with upper cross syndrome, what you have are tight upper traps, weak lower mid traps and rhomboids. So those muscles that pull the scapula, shoulders back towards the midline of the body, tight pectoralis major and minor, and then also weak cervical flexors. So your sternocleidomastoid and the other cervical flexors in the neck. All right. So it's strengthening those, lengthening, and some of the other muscles, lengthening through the pecs. So it's nice to often, I like to take a blanket roll, and however different anatomy, and roll it up, and then just lay with the hips here and the mid shoulders on the upper part. And I can even just demonstrate real quickly how that feels. Just allow the chest to really open up, and you'll feel that right away, how good that feels. And even if it feels really good onto the lower back, you could just lay there and really work to expand the breath. So that's one way to open up and to relax into the chest. And you can get more deep with that using a bolsters and doing poses such as like cobra or sphinx pose can help lengthen or strengthen the cervical flexors of the neck. So it takes that forward head out and starts to work the length. So when we say in yoga, reach the crown of the head towards the ceiling, draw the jawline back, that's essentially what we're incorporating into there, is strengthening up that portion. And also you can work into lengthening and stretching out some of those into the upper traps. But you still have to focus on strength in those areas, because, a lot of times the upper traps their dharma is to reach up. That's one of my friends, it's the dharma of the muscle. What it was designed to do is to elevate that and to pull and strengthen. Okay. And then you also have to work drawing the mid lower traps and rhomboids to the midline of the body. So things like think about like a reverse plank or other things that would essentially pull in. And there's not a lot we do in yoga that incorporates pulling towards the midline. So you have to be kind of creative with that. And that's some of the things I would work with the individual based on their anatomy. So I hope that answers a little bit of the question. I know there's a lot to it. That's what I'd like to share with you today. Namaste.